This is a Sony model TC-K1A from 1978. I've done a video on this when I first got it back in 2008, so it's almost 7 years ago I got this. And the bad news is it's from McMahon. Got it for free though. Hey, to him, he got to have his China pride. He gave me something. I got this for free, so his loss. All this time I never used it since that video I made. It had fast forward and rewind problems and flutter in the tape speed due to worn belts, and that's all I've been working on now. I've actually already had the front panel apart, and in the front panel here, it's behind this plate. It's just the belt going to the tape counter. The belt is an extra small belt, 1 millimeter wide. I don't have any, but the belt, even though it's a little loose, the tape counter still functions fine and it won't affect operation, so I'm just going to leave it. But there's two other drive belts in it. There's a flat belt and this, it's a, what diameter is that? It's a 0.046 inch 1.2 millimeter belt right here. Those are the original belts right there. As you can see, they're kind of stretched and shaped from sitting. I just got done cleaning all the pulleys on it before I put the new belts on. The unit does have an electronically governed motor, given how new it is, much newer it is than those other units I've worked on. But it has an external board for the voltage, the governor on it. And let me go throw these new belts on and see what happens here. One thing to note, there are two rubber idlers on here for when it goes into playback mode, as well as rewind. That's how it's coupled. This I'm trying to see if I can show it. This run right here is for when it goes in the rewind or fast forward off the flywheel here. And they're both in good shape. They're not cracked. They're not slippery. I did, however, just clean them. I'll show how I did that in a second. The rest. And so you have giant flywheel here. Rewind and fast forward. Let me see. This is for the playback, or the idlers that I looked how it was driven off of there. But that's a clutch. Use this rubber cleaner and a rejuvenator on it, and it usually brings the rubber right back to where it should be. So now I'm going to throw the belts on it. I don't have another hand available for a flashlight because I have to hold this piece in because I don't have the back plate on to prevent it from being pushed out too far. It's kind of on a spring, but the motor is running, so that worked just fine. Now I'm going to try to put that last piece on. Alright, the back plate is on. And it's actually running right now. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. As soon as you hit power, it keeps the motor running at all times. It's very smooth now, as you can see. And this does have a soft eject system, like so. It's kind of unique. Like when the doors open, these buttons will not lock. But if I can press and hold rewind, I tried stopping the spindle without. Oh yeah, it does have automatic stop on everything, but it's very strong on everything. Here's play. See, it doesn't latch. But all the doors open. But mentioning auto stop, you can see that's what that mechanism there's for. So I'm going to hit rewind. Takes a second and it comes up. And it's that little gear of that piece on there. See, I'll hit rewind. And that's automatic stop there. Okay, and the tape counter. Oops, let's see. Tape counter is working just fine. And play. So this was much easier to do since I didn't have to replace that much. Just 2 belts, and tape counter belt still works fine. I'm gonna leave it alone since I don't have it. But on the side, it's working great. One last look at the front cover, or not the cover, but at least the front of it before I reassemble it. This is the front panel right here. It's a thick piece of brushed aluminum. And the one thing I like to use, I found works really well on this, is Novus plastic polish. I mean, yeah, plastic polish, but it does wonders on metals too. Especially stuff like this. I mean, it doesn't need scrubbed, it just, you run it on there, and it really brings the shine out. And it'll repel dust and all that. I'm nearly done putting it together. Put a piece of vinyl weather stripping here because the foam that was there for padding when it goes on was completely disintegrated. One thing I'm going to note is if you are just changing the belts in this, you do not have to take the front panel off like I did. I did it because I'm just cleaning everything with Q-tips and toothbrushes and everything down to little detail. Because really, to change the tape counter belt, you just take off those 2 screws at the very, very top there. That plate comes out, and you have complete access to the belt to change. And this one in the back here, you take off, let me see, I'll use this as a pointing device tool. And then you take off that screw, this screw, and this screw, and this screw here, and that plate pops off. Also to note that spring-loaded soft eject mechanism, how it's set up in there like so. And then from there you have easy access to those pulley belts there and the flat belt that goes from the motor to the flywheel. And that's it. You don't have to take, it's not a real hard job to do. I just took the whole thing apart just to make sure everything was cleaned and in working order. And you can also access the rubber idler tires also from the same method I just showed. Well, I'm almost there. Next step I'm going to do is calibrate the tape speed on it. Like I mentioned, I have this audio alignment tape. I bought commercially recorded, normal bias. And here's a little trick you can do to make it sound fine. I have it running through line in on my computer here, and I have Gold Wave up. And Gold Wave, I'm generating a 1 kilohertz test tone. Gold Wave's my audio editor. I've had it for like, God, since 2000. And I just find it works very well. Function evaluator. Test tone, 1 kilohertz, sine wave. So, a little trick here, and I'm going to set the camera up real quick to show, is you can adjust it really precise, and like right when you get to the frequency it's supposed to be, you'll hear it like oscillating, and then right when they line up, the oscillating will be very slow, if not happening at all. So I'll just show how exactly I do it. So I actually got it right where it needs to be right now, but I'll show what happens. I'll turn this up just a hair. Right there, I don't want to be too annoying. Hit play. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is what happens when I adjust the speed. Hear how it's like oscillating? I slowed it down. Now it's going too fast. That's like as close as it's gonna get. It's like very, right when they both kind of like quit having like hearing like an oscillating kind of type pattern, and it's like already line right up. That's when you got the speed right. So So I'll just stop it. And that test tape is pretty accurate. So that's just how I typically adjust the speed. This is the first time I actually ran it into the computer and had both sounds playing at the same time. Before I just play it on that pen crest, I play it on this tape on there. Like I'd be sitting here, I'd be right here on the left, computer be on the right, and I do the same thing. I just adjust it till that I can hear that they kind of line up. That's the easiest thing for me to do, and it works every time pretty much. Okay, now I'm just going to go through and see what other adjustments I need to make to this deck before I move on. One neat thing is this cassette door easily comes apart for cleaning like that. It makes it very easy to access the heads. I just demagnetized them, but all it does is this front piece just slips on and locks in place like that. So that's pretty nifty. Alright, I'm over here testing it now. Multiple things going on here. Try looking up online. I should get a service manual for this, but I just need to explain a few things. For adjustments in the unit, one of the most things you'll see online is VU meters not accurate, etc. You know, not calibrated, whatever. I mean, they're both zeroed out at minus 20 dB. I just want to note something here. These two pots, I don't know what they do. Now, I did adjust. I had to experiment, but first thing I do is always mark where the existing pots are at, so I can return to that point in case it's wrong. So I did just that, just as well as these two sets of pots here are exactly back where they were originally. I don't know what those two do yet until I get the service manual. These two pots here actually adjust playback level. This is your left one, this is your right one, and that will also affect the VU meter output. But it's important to know the unit needs to have a proper load on its output for those VU meters to work correctly. Without a load, they will read much higher than they should, and with an improper load, they'll read different. Now I'll give an example. This computer's input on the side here, it's a combination. It can be used as a microphone or line level in. The computer will detect that. Well, this didn't like that. I mean, I had it perfectly adjusted for that, but I come over here after I discover with no load on it the VU meters are all wrong, and plugged it into what a proper tape input should be, line level, you know, not software controlled or however it does it in the computer. And it was reading too high, I think it was. I'm sorry, I'm getting I was trying to work on this, and well, I just want to share something with how the first things work, how this all got set up. There is a hole right here when you hit play, and that's to adjust the tape head azimuth. And because when I first started playing a known good tape, it lacked treble really bad, and sure enough, I turned that screw clockwise quarter of a turn, and it cleared right up. You adjust that for the best treble response. So I went back and redid everything. Now the second part on this I need to explain. There's I get my little stick here that I use to turn my pots with. There's two potentiometers right here, that and that one, and those are for adjusting recording level. Now, yes, you have the control in the front, and the problem was you could have them both set for like 5, and the right channel was reading like minus 3 dB less, so they weren't equal. What I did was, using my laptop, I outputted a 1 kilohertz sine wave, you know, and I adjusted the laptop's volume to get it at exactly 0 dB at 5, and of course with that being equal, you know, left one was reading 0, right one was reading minus 3 dB. I touched up the pot that was right here, and got that record level precisely the same. So now both VU meters will be we're reading exactly 0 dB with this control on, but lined up with each other instead of having to do an off center and saying the record level was good. So that's how that happened. So I recorded a 0 dB 1 kilohertz signal on the tape. However, on playback, since that's that 0 dB for this meter is exactly how it went through the circuit, how it processed it to the tape. The tape had a 0 dB signal on it. You go to play it back, I adjusted those two pots I showed right here. So they were outputting exactly 0 dB with it hooked to an actual line level source. Because if I were to disconnect that line cord right there, the left and right jacks, the VU meters wouldn't be reading correctly now. So I adjusted it with that hooked to the unit. And I tested it with a known good tape I made, and it is accurate. The levels were exactly where they need to be. They were balanced. It sounded good. Treble response is good. Now I just need to exercise the thing for a bit. And I'm going to show you exactly, let me turn this down a little bit, what I did. This is that tape I made. It's a Type II chromium dioxide tape. Got the switch in that position. It does not have Dolby turned on when I did it, so now we'll see what happened. Got too much in the way here. See, that was my test tone I recorded, set at 0 dB, and both meters are reading 0 exactly on playback. So basically, recorded 0 dB, playback at 0 dB. That's what I'm aiming for on that. And like I said, that said, it is accurate because I played a known good tape. Okay, this is a tape I recorded. I used this in my one video a long time ago and I had the storage in it. Let's see, March 5th, 1993, Back to the Future motion picture original soundtrack. This is a Type 1 with Dolby noise reduction. Yep, I must have the volume all the way down. End of the song. So far, I know I used my dad's Panasonic stereo from 1988, Dolby noise reduction, recorded it with try to get as close to 0 dB as possible. Now I know on there's also the Dolby market plus 3 dB. You can record a little bit louder for a little bit more dynamic range when you use Dolby. That's why it marks on there. It was also on his stereo too. I just for some reason recorded at 0 dB. Now this was a vinyl source which I have. So let's see what this next song is. Yes, car. Now, it did play Back to the Future Overture. That was right at 0 dB a lot, and a couple times went into red because it just had a wide dynamic range. But it appears to be working perfectly. Let me turn up it. And it sounds absolutely fantastic. I'm that test tape right now. It's normal bias, no noise reduction. And it does a full sweep here in a second.
20 kilohertz at minus 10 dB. Kilohertz.
actually monitoring the cassette deck, taking it up to the Dolby mark on there, plus 3 dB. This is a Type II cassette. Dolby is on.
Christmas in Pittsburgh is 94.5 3WS.
And I say that's a very was a success. I mean, the record level input I'm putting on the tape matches the output now. Both channels are equal. Sounds fantastic. And now we're going to do a test of some vinyl to tape. Alright, I already got the level calibrated for the Dolby mark on there. It's turned down a little bit from the when I did the tuner because it's a bit more powerful. So do is I'll put the tuner on now. This was a never opened copy.
Last night I had the strangest dream. I sailed away to China in a little rowboat to find. Ever since you've been leaving me, I've been wanting to cry. Now I know how it feels for you. I've been wanting to cry, but it's much too late for goodbye. Yes, it is.
Alright, I pretty much I made it through most of the tape except for maybe another 15 minutes worth, so I'm at a good stopping point. I'm just going to do playback now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to zoom in on the deck here. Forgive it, I'm not really using a tripod here. I'm just going to balance it on this thing here. So I'll announce it right now. Like right now, these are just vinyl to cassette dubs, and upon playback, the VU meters match what was coming in, so that's precisely adjusted. It sounds fantastic. So I'm gonna play 30-second clips of each song I've recorded, or just shy of 30 seconds. But here we go.
Nothing gonna break my stride. Nobody gonna slow me down. Oh no, I've got to keep on moving. Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. I'm running in a one-touch ground. Oh no, I've got to keep on moving. You're gonna I've been wanting to cry. Now I know how it feels for you. I've been wanting to cry. Well, it's much too late for goodbye. Yes, it's much too late for goodbye. Time has gone since
Try to put you down.
Go for it, go for it,
When you don't wanna go to town.
go for it, go for it,
But if you wanna sing this song,
go for it, go for it.
you gotta work out all night long. You gotta
Go for it,
against the opposition.
go for it,
You wanna win the race.
go for it,
It's really your decision.
go for it.
You gotta set the pace. You gotta be there. Ooh, gotta be there. Want to turn
to demonstrate is from one of my recent recordings of that 1970 Pencrest tape recorder, monorail, but how good it sounds on this deck on the full-size system with the Dalquist speakers. So normal bias and equalization, no Dolby. Alright, waiting for the leader to pass. Looks like it passed already. This is a test of the just not watching that video. Pencrest model 6552. It's a Toshiba built deck. I'm recording using its factory microphone that came with it. And 14 years ago I did make a recording with it, but I don't think I ever tried this microphone. So today's date is December 9th, 2014. I was just trying to find a good song to use that I didn't use in the previous video, but that Pencrest, definitely an excellent portable unit too. It sounds fantastic on this. Now, from my one other video back in 2000, I played this tape on that Pencrest. This was recorded on one of those stupid GPX all-in-one systems, and it's not the worst sounding, because I have a recorder like the worst sounding cassette recorder I've ever used, and it too was a GPX. This is like the next worst sounding cassette recorder. It is recorded off the radio, but it has the worst background noise, and you look at the level meters, it's right within where it's supposed to be, but it's all distorted. And
Band VG's Earth, Wind & Fire, Brother Matt and TJ, come on, show your support with 104.7 The Beat.
Keep it coming up, keep it coming up. Don't stop it now, don't stop it, no, don't stop it now, don't stop it. Keep it coming up, keep it coming up. Don't stop it now, don't stop it, no, don't stop it now, don't stop it. Don't let your you've been waiting for your entire life.
That's like the worst part of the distortion right there. Jeez. Yeah, GPX level, automatic level control my ass. There's Elton John's Tumbleweed Connection. This isn't even a Dolby encoded cassette. This is on the cassette it says 1971. This could be an original tape. So normal bias off, and see how this sounds. Very good. Lots of treble and everything. Alright, and then just to wrap this up, I want to play a 1992 tape, Elton John The One, which has Dolby. So I played a very old pre-recorded tape without Dolby, and a modern, or no, it's not modern anymore. It's almost 23-year-old pre-recorded tape of Dolby HX Pro. So, but there you go. Complete demonstration of the 1978 Sony model TC-K1A cassette deck. I would do a demonstration with the built-in, or not built-in, but with external mics. I need to get some microphones. That's one thing I never really had much of, is recording voice. So I'm going to get some better, good microphones, proper period correct microphones for this 1/4-inch jack.
Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Nobody gonna slow me down. Oh no, no, I got to keep on moving. Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. I'm running in a one-touch ground. Oh no, I got to keep on moving. Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Nobody gonna slow me down. Oh no, no, I got to keep on moving.
One thing I need to mention, this does not have a Type IV metal tape select. It has a ferrochrome Type III tape select in the center right there. I have to say, it's odd the order it goes in. It goes normal Type 1, ferrochrome Type 3, and chromium dioxide Type 2. So it's like out of order. Ferrochrome was developed by Sony and BASF in the 70s. It's not a widely supported tape type, and that's why pretty much every deck after that's been always Type 1, Type 2, and Type 4. One thing I will mention is, in my original video I mistakenly said this has a metal Type 4 position. It does not. It has Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3 only. And I just figured I'd get that clarified now. But there you go. And there you have it, the 1978 Sony TC-K1A cassette deck. And I have several other cassette decks I'm going to restore that are 70s vintage with very nice VU meters. One of the things I'm probably going to restore next is this Akai right here. Yeah, it plays fine, doesn't record. It has a problem with the recording switch. That's why you never really see me making recordings with this. Well, like I said, I'm on a big roll here. I'm going to start it next.